Already we are on video number 4. I had promised in the last video that it was time to open up your book, your very first purchase, and be comfortable with the staffs. And now we're going to address this by note reading. Note reading has always been the dividing line as to many students stopping and going forward. For some reason, panic sets in when they can't read the correct note and they don't know where to put their fingers. So let's eliminate that fear by understanding. So I'm going to review quickly. We had a staff that I showed you. Now you've opened up your first book, whatever selection it is. If you've gone out and purchased yourself sheet music, downloaded something, or made an adult learning book or a children's book, your hymnal, whatever it might be, take a look. We have a treble clef, we have a bass clef, we have 5 lines, 4 spaces in both clefs, connected by the grand staff. For the piano, for both hands, you'll need both staffs. So I'm going to take that away. We've talked about that enough, and let's do our first introduction to note reading. So with note reading, I want to begin by emphasizing lines and spaces. Lines and spaces are imperative to be able to read 88 keys. If you have 5 lines and 4 spaces, you're going to play more than 4 spaces and 5 lines. We're far more with notes than what you see here. So let's begin with our treble clef, a middle C. Remember I said sit in front towards the beginning of front end of your bench, extending your knuckles to the fall board, drop them gently, 1 finger per key, and your thumb will fall on the middle C. Middle C is right here. Middle C is below that first line, and it has a line through it. So with that line, that's your first introduction to below the staff, and it is middle C. Then we come to the next note, which is a whole step up, which is a D. Your very first line of the treble clef staff is an E. The first space, an F. The second line, G. Second space, A. Third line, B. Third space, C. Fourth line, D. Fourth space, E. Then we come to that F. Top line is an F. And look what happens. We've run out of lines. So now we have above the staff on your G. Again, looking at the hands, C. So now we have surpassed your 5-finger pentascale. Understanding the reason for lines and spaces. Now we're going to take a look at the bass. The bass clef is from middle C down to your A. This is called, again, the lower register of your piano. Again, your feet are flat, you're sitting towards the front of your bench, and you've extended your knuckles, and your hands fall gently. This is not a middle C. We are now in the bass. This is actually coming all the way down here to an E. And why would that be? Watch. F, the very first line, is going to be a G. First space, an A. Second line, a B. Second space, low C. Then you have a D. Then you have an E in the next space, an F on the fourth, a G. Here comes an A. And guess what? We are now above that top line in the bass. You're You're above the staff in the bass, and it's a B. Now if I were to go one more note up, it's going to have that line through it. Middle C. So the best way to learn this is lines and spaces. As simple as that sounds, I want you to understand on your staff when you're trying to read your notes, just go down like this. Here's my middle C, here's my B, oh, here comes my A. If it is not within the lines and it's reading below the staff, you're going to have a B here and then 2 lines. You're going to have an A. So let's turn this around. We're talking about ledger lines. With ledger lines, and that's exactly what I'm saying to you, above the staff are the lines and spaces. So here I am on this top line of an F. Then I'm above it. You see a space. There's your treble clef G. Now you see the little line through this note. It's above the treble clef staff. It's not going to be a middle C. It's going to be an A. Now look, you're going from that line and you're putting a note above the line, and that's your B. Now for that high C, the second high C, you're going to go line, space, line. And here we are up here. And do you see how they're building up? And that's exactly what we're talking about with lines and spaces. Now let me take it in this direction. Here's your D. Oh, here comes your middle C. And that does have the line through the middle C. Now I'm going to a B. Do you see how the note, the head of the note, goes below the line? Now it is a B. Now we're going to have an A. The line goes through the A, and it's also reflecting where the middle C was. You see how that line was above? So here's middle C, here comes a B, and here comes a line through it. So now it's A. I'm going down. What do we have to do? We have to drop that note head below that second line. It's no longer an A, it's a G. And now F is going to have a line through it. You see, F has middle C, and here you have B, A, G, and an F, and E, and the note head again falls below the line. So practice lines and spaces. Your alphabet in your music is not going to begin on an A if you're playing for middle C. It's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. So again, start with that line in the middle of middle C, and you'll be able to do that. I would suggest that you treat yourself to just a piece of paper like this and practice note reading. And if you're having difficulty with the note reading, refer back to what I've just given to you as an example, or talk to a teacher who can help you read notes. Thank a teacher for helping you to read notes. Then in the bass, here we go. Your first line, here's your A. We're going to go from an A to an A. So here's that top line of the A. We're going to a space. Here's your middle C. Remember our middle C has a black face with a line through it. And the reason that it's a middle C here and a middle C here is because it's in between the staffs. But now you're reading above the staff in the bass clef. So, and you see the line, space, line, space, line through it, and 3 lines with the space above to make your A. In the bass, if we're going down, we're down here. And we're going to start here on your F, E, D, C, B, Instead of trying to memorize 88 different kinds of notes, it's basically 8 notes with lines and spaces. So, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not 8, but 7. And then up to the A is a full octave. So there's 8. A to A. All right. So hopefully that will help you with note reading. And that was the purpose of basically today's lesson. I do want to review one other thing with you. And today, before we close off this video, I spoke to you about the value of notes in our last video. We discussed a whole note, open face white. This is what a whole rest looks like. The whole rest is hanging on the line. It's holding on the line. And if we were going with common time, 4 beats to a measure, you would be counting your whole note as 1, 2, 3, 4. Silence is just as important as playing the note. So here is your rest. A rest is silence. Your half note we discussed. The half note is an open face with a stem, and it sits like a hat on the line. And in this case, again, we're talking common time of 4/4, 4 beats to the measure, the quarter note receiving the beat. 2 beats are for the half note as well as a half rest. Here we have the quarter note. It's a black note head with a stem, and the quarter rest is a pretty fancy little thing. It's also 1 beat, and so what we have, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in this case, you're just going to get 1 beat for the quarter note, 1 beat on the quarter rest. Make sure your rest is heard when you're playing your music. All right, we did not discuss the 8th note. The 8th note has a little flag or quiver, and it is a black note with a stem with this nice little quiv. And so what we're saying here is 2 8th notes makes a quarter note. And in this case, we also have a quarter rest. And the quarter rest looks like this. It's a half a beat. Half a beat. All right, a 16th note, black note, stem, and 2 flags, 2 quivers. And it's going to have a double quiver on the rest as well. So it's a quarter of a beat. Just to help you understand when I talk about math, look here. You have 4 beats on a whole. You're going to have 2 half notes to make a whole. You're going to have 4 quarter notes to make this whole. Do you see what I'm saying? So as you go up and up, it's math, math, and math. All right. And to end our video, I also talked to you a little bit about a flat and a sharp sign. And again, if I'm on an F, as an example, half a step up, F sharp. Now what if I want a flat? It's half a step down. What if I want just an F natural? And there it is. F natural sign, or the natural sign, looks like this. Here's your sharp and here's your flat. Today was all about reading notes, lines and spaces, acclimating you to 8th notes, 16ths, rests, and also understanding a natural sign. I hope that you got a lot out of this lesson today, and I look forward to teaching you more. Bye for now.